All right, so here's the thing. People ask me, how can I be more productive? How can I stop procrastinating? Right? How can I be more grateful? How can I reach my potential and get the most out of life? There's one mindset I've found that helps you do all of these. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, my name is Dr. Corey Wilks. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and a certified professional coach. And on this channel, we explore the psychology of business, creativity, performance, and fulfillment. So the best mindset I've found that can help you, like I said, be more productive, be more grateful, and just generally get more out of life is called memento mori. And memento mori translates to remember you will die. But it isn't meant to be morbid, right? It's meant to help you use mortality as a motivator to live fully. Okay, so what does that mean? There was a Cornell study done that basically they found that up to 76% of people die with the same regret. And that basically comes down to they regretted not having done more with their lives, right? So they lived in mediocrity, and then on their deathbed, they wish they had more time to go back and take more risks or get more out of their day-to-day. And what does that ultimately come down to? Right? That comes down to fear, right? We are afraid to take chances. We are afraid to pursue what is actually meaningful for us, right? So we opt for the, what Tim Ferriss calls the save, slave, retire mindset, which basically says turn 18, work for 40 to 45 years of your life in a job that makes you miserable. Hopefully you can enjoy yourself in the evenings and weekends and the occasional week-long vacation twice a year. And then when you hit 65, give or take, that's when you'll really enjoy life. But the reality is, you may not make it to 65. Or even if you do, the people you care about may not, right? So instead of pushing off a more meaningful life until, you qualify for the senior citizens discount at your local McDonald's or whatever, how can you be more intentional with how you spend your time today? Right? One of the main reasons we procrastinate is we live like we're immortal, right? We act like we're never going to run out of time. But the current life expectancy is around 80 years old, right? So again, going back to that, save, slave, retire thing, if you work a miserable job until you're 65 and you die around 80, you're sacrificing 45 years of your life to maybe enjoy the very last 15. Is that really what you want to do? And when it comes to gratitude, a lot of us, it's easy to be entitled or to take things for granted, right? But memento mori taken a different way. So instead of saying, remember you will die, remember it will end, right? Now what I mean by that is, Ryan Holiday, he is a prolific writer, but he said, and he's a modern stoic, right? These books you can't really see right now. These are all his books. But one of the things that he said is he writes every day, but anytime one of his sons calls down to him from, downstairs to come play, he always says yes. And the reason for that is, one, he may not know if he'll be around tomorrow. He doesn't know if his sons will be around for tomorrow, because again, life is guaranteed to nobody. But also his sons won't be young for very long. So remembering that it will end, remembering that this childhood, this, having your 3-year-old or your 5-year-old want to sit in your lap and things, that will eventually end, right? Memento mori shifts your perspective away from taking everything for granted to being incredibly appreciative for what you have when you have it, okay? No matter how bad your day has been, there has been some aspect of it that you can be grateful for if you remember that it will end. Okay? The antidote to fear, to entitlement, to procrastination, to looking back on your life with regret is memento mori. Because everything pales in comparison to the fact that we're all going to die, right? If you're afraid of what somebody might say if you took this risk or if you made this change, if you're afraid of how uncertain the future may be, if you're afraid to fail, if you're afraid to succeed because you think that success could make you complacent, all of those fears pale in comparison to memento mori. Okay? I use memento mori every single day. And for a long time, it was hypothetical. But then earlier this year, I almost died. Okay? Long story short, had an infection and it required surgery. And I was sitting in the hospital room getting prepped for surgery. And at the time, we didn't know if the infection had gotten into my blood or my bones. Okay? Because if it had, it could have killed me. So I'm sitting there in the hospital room getting prepped for surgery, just by myself, with only the beeping of a machine and the occasional nurse to come in checking vitals to keep me company. And I remember laying there, not knowing if I would survive or not, and thinking, what if this had been my last week alive? You've probably heard thought experiments of, if you had 30 days to live, what would you do? These aren't helpful. Because if you can plan it out, you can go out with a bang. You can go skydiving, you can blow your bank account, whatever, right? But what if you've already lived your last week? Well, instantly you can identify all the bullshit you left in your life. All the things you did that you didn't want to do and you didn't have to do, but you did out of a sense of obligation. You can immediately identify all the things you wish you would have done more of, right? But the things that you procrastinated on, the things you let fear prevent you from doing, the things you took for granted. You don't have to almost die to reap the benefits of that experience. Memento mori is what you need. Because someday, one day, will be your last day. How will you live until then?